This is where all your previous effort, record mapping, vulnerability scanner will begin to show a return on investment. Because if you're able to identify the target, what next? What do you need to do? You need to be able to do a reconnaissance of all the available protocols, probably protocols that can easily be broken, like SSH, Telnet, or FTP. Though I think FTP and Telnet is more because the store password in clear text. You can easily sniff the password. But if you use SSH and you do not use a certificate, or your password is not well, it's not strong enough, you can't. An attacker can easily use a dictionary attack to gain access to all the username and password available. So this one with this to me password related vulnerabilities, to me they are low hanging fruit. Why test for low hanging fruit? Given unlimited time and budget, every penetration data would love to spend days testing remote network, machine application, and so on. However, the reality is time is short and the budget even is shorter. So the low hanging fruit always aid in the cost benefits. So to me, I see password cracking as one of the low hanging fruit. So after many years of information security and billions of dollars spent in the field, password are still one of the weakest link. This should be your top priority in this phase. So we will cover some tools that will allow us to find and test weak password, default password. We use them on common services like SMB, RDP, FTP, SQL, and so on. So let's look at the Ncrack. There are a lot of password cracking tools. You can use Ncrack. You can use Hydra. You can use a lot of them. So Ncrack is a high-speed network authentication cracking tool that allows the testing of hosts and their service for poor password. So this is a usage. If you want to get, so Ncrack comes default with Kali Linux. If you want to have an idea on how this guy can be used, let me switch over to my Kali. Okay, let me close this. Let me go back to mine. So what you just need to do, you type Ncrack. If you want to display the help details, this is how to use it. Example, Ncrack-v user. If you know the user, you say user root, and specify the host. If you want to crack a web application, you specify this command, T5, and you specify the host name or the address. So these are the different ways by which we can take your time, study the various parameters. You can also do man Ncrack. So this gives you a more detailed info about the Ncrack. So if you are done with the man page, you can type Q to quit to your terminal. So let's look at the I think we want to let's take a look at our target, maybe our OWASP broken host. You know, the host has a lot of vulnerabilities, right? Because there are a lot of vulnerable web applications. So first and foremost, let me see the available common ports that are always vulnerable. If I want to be specific about a particular port, I can quickly use my Nmap to scan for the available ports. But before we do that, I think this page explains about the man page. And before we go into the exploitation per se, the first start you need to note when starting to use Ncrack is how to specify target. I know that the target network is 10.10.10.0/24. We can specify that in many ways. So you can do this. You can also do Ncrack if you want to scan the first 1,200 IPs. You do this 10.10.1, comma 2.1200. And if you want to probe a particular IP, just do that. So the next option that we will see are used to specify the service we wish to target, whether FTP, SSH, Telnet, HTTPS, RDP, VNC, POP3. So the standard notation is this. You specify the service name, then you specify your targets and the port. For example, this is service name, Telnet 10.10.10.130 at port 25. Ncrack. So that's how to use that. If I want to use it on SSH, you specify Ncrack SSH, specify the IPs, and you can also specify the port. So notice that we can also set a specific service for specific target. Let's say we wish to probe the 10.10.10.130 for this SSH on port 22 and 10.10.10.60 for the Telnet service on port 28. You can use the following commands. You can probe for different services at a time. The last item to note about service specification is that you can specify them globally. Service specified in this way are applied to all the hosts that have not been associated with the previous per host specification format. To do this, you can use the -p parameter followed by the list of service, comma separated. So let's look at some of this example. You can do this if I want to do an Ncrack against this particular IP. So on port 50. So you can do that. So there are different ways by which we can leverage on that. So Ncrack also has a list of common usernames and password that you can use during our test. So let's just quickly look, let me take a look at, let's navigate towards the URL. Let me go to Ncrack, right? So you can see it has some listing of dictionary. For example, if I want to look at the listing of the common user, common or USR, I just type cat common. So these are the listing, right? So you can look at the listing of the common password. Let's say JTR.pwd. So these are the stuff. You can as well as also bring in your own dictionaries. You can download your word list, create a folder for it, and see what's. So if you feel that that dictionary is not sufficient enough, so that's how to leverage on Ncrack to conduct. So you can specify the word list to use with the -u parameters or -p parameters or options. So -u specify the part followed by the part of the word list, -p followed by the part of the password listings. So you should know that by default, Ncrack creates username for a fixed password. If you want to do the opposite, you can use the option password first. So there are different options available. You can use the verbosity, you can look at the debugging level by using -d, and you can also use -f to exit once it finds the valid credentials. So it's important to know that Ncrack can be used in conjunction with Nmap. Indeed, we can perform any kind of scan with Nmap, export the results, and you can also feed the Ncrack with Nmap results with the options, this particular option. So this will avoid setting IP address and services in there already set in the output file. You don't need to set the service option, username and password list. So let's look at this classwork. Before we do this, let's just quickly look at our OWASP broken web application IP is 192.168.40.145. On your machine, it might be different. So check the IP from your machine. I want to see whether port 21, 22, and 23 are opened. So for me to do that, I'm trying to navigate to my. So what we just need to do. So as you can see, but the FTP is closed. It's already port SSH that is open. So that means if I want to do a brute force, I can only do a brute force on the port SSH right. So let me switch over to my release directory right. And let's do this. Ncrack should be verbose. So let's try this. So we've been able to establish our port SSH is open right. So let's see whether we can, because we don't let's presume that we don't know the password. So for you to do a verbose access, and there is some password. So let me take you back to my Willis directory. I've created my own password dictionary and the username dictionary. Let me close this guy. Okay, I've created a password dictionary called USSR, and the uh, username dictionary called USR, and the password dictionary called password LST. So if I want to do my Ncrack with on my target host, which is let me be sure. So let me do this. This let me explain the command. This defines the degree of verbosity. Dash U, capital U, is to specify the location of the username dictionary. So I have quite a number of dictionary on USR file. Dash P. So you can find an absolute path, but because it's in the same folder as Willis, that's why I just put. Then you also specify the host, the IP address. Then you may specify the protocol that you have to use, dash P dash SSH, dash P space SSH rather. You click enter. So it depends on the number of so it might take a while. So it depends on what you're doing. Hold on, let me see this. Hope the machine is my machine is on. My HOAPS, make sure that your HOAPS machine is on, right? Okay. So you can see that it has discovered a credential called root and a password called OWASP BWA. So let's see whether we can log on these credentials. So what you just need to do, just type SSH, you specify the IP, so it's picking the first Let me try again. So we can say roots. What's the password for root? OWASP EWA. There are different ways by which you can set this thing up. Let's try out here. One 192.168.40.145. Okay. Okay. So you can see that we'll be able to gain an SSH access. From there, if you get an SSH access to you can begin to navigate through the through the folder and see what you can make out of it. So, for example, if I want to do a display of shadow file, this is a very important file that contains all the hash function of the hash function of your username and password. So the next class, the next class one, we are going to demonstrate how to use hashlib functions in Python to display the function, the password of a particular hash, how to crack a hash value. So that's for the classwork. So I think we'll be able to establish our aim. So you can try that. So at the end of the day, we'll be able to gain access to our targets. So let's talk through some art of exploitation. Beyond password cracking, you might want to do a whole lot on your target application. So before we proceed, so please your class exercise, kindly use the Python hashlib. Take a look at how to use the Python hashlib. So you can go through the documentation from Python. This is the documentation. So for you to use this, you need to import the hashlib module. You need to start by go to the official documentation and figure out how to crack the hash function that will be able to hack on OWASP BWM, the hash value of those passwords. So figure out how you do that. So you can take a look at this script, study it, and see what you can make out of the script, and also see what you can. So I will drop the scripts on the lab files so that you can further you can edit the script to your taste and also take a look at the official documentation. And the essence of this assignment, use a Python hashlib to crack these hash functions. Can crack this. I think these are the so that's the for that. So let's go to the art of exploit.